Hello and welcome viewers to the finale episode of the Policybazaar show. I'm your host Akshita Nandagopal, and today we delve into a crucial topic that concerns each one of us. Insurance for all, what lies ahead? So we'll be exploring the ways in which insurance is really shaping India's future, addressing awareness, needs and the gaps, importantly, that exist in the insurance landscape. In a nation as diverse, as dynamic as ours, insurance plays a huge pivotal role in really empowering our future generations. From, of course, safeguarding our families to securing our dreams, insurance provides the foundation upon which we essentially build our tomorrows. So today we're going to be unraveling the layers of this essential topic, understanding the challenges faced and the innovations paving the way forward. So joining us today on the special episode are three very esteemed guests who bring with them a wealth of knowledge and experience in the insurance industry. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce with us on the show Tapan, Singhel, MD and CEO of Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company. We have Yashish, Dahiya, Chairman and CEO of PB Fintech, and Vibha, Padalkar, MD and CEO of HDFC Life. Welcome to all of you. Like I said, it's an absolute pleasure having you with us on the Policybazaar show. Each of you, of course, come with a rich experience in the financial services industry that spans over decades. So I want to first start with your experiences. Vibha, if I can begin with you. Welcome, first of all, to the show. How has the life insurance sector really transformed in all of these years in your experience?
So over the last 2 decades, 23 years to be precise, and HDFC Life was the first one to get a license, the industry has grown exceedingly well, 10x in many metrics, if not higher. The density has increased from about $7 to close to $70. The number of agents, which are a backbone of our sector, that has increased by about 5 lakh to about 27 lakh agents. And of course, the number of branches, number of bank assurance tie-up, and so on. So it's very well placed in terms of what was the opportunity given to us as the private sector, as well as LIC doing its bit. So collectively for us to grow the pie. Another aspect is in terms of the touch points. Like I mentioned, agents were really the backbone of how insurance was sold in India. And now they continue to be important, but you have bank assurance being a very credible source of customer touch point. You have web aggregators, you have brokers, and many hybrid versions of digital avatars, what we call as new ecosystem partners. All of this means that last mile connectivity, evangelizing insurance before it is actually sold, all of those touch points are very vibrant and active. So many such things that we have seen the industry mushroom over the past 2 decades.
And this mushrooming, this phenomenal growth that we've seen in the insurance sector. Tapan, if I could bring you in also on that. I'd refer to it largely also as evolution of the general insurance industry. So what do you have to say about that, particularly keeping in mind the 3 decades of your experience?
So if I go back 30 years back, a claim settlement would take, let's say a total claim would take about 3 months' time. Now you have real-time cashless settlement, you have on-the-spot settlement, you have straight-through settlement, which would actually make it on the fly. If you look at policy, you only had agents distributing policies. Now you have so many channels. You have bank insurance, you have brokers, you have web aggregators, you have direct lines, you have on the web, you can buy through e-commerce also. You can, you think about it. Anytime we go to automobile dealership, you can buy there also. It's all across. The touch points have increased considerably. So at all parameters, it has evolved. Digitalization has taken it to the next level. The ease of buying a policy has become much better. In terms of understanding, it also has become much better. The regulations have come in. Government policies have come in. So I think it's a massive transformation in 30 years' time from what it was earlier to what it is today.
Very true. We're seeing unbelievable changes, and with every passing month, new policies perhaps that come to the fore for people to choose from as well. Yashish, to you next. You've been at the center of the overall insurance industry for more than a decade and a half. So what, according to you, really are the changes that have actually shaped up the insurance industry to what it is today?
I think, first of all, the entire industry has grown tremendously. Please appreciate 23 years ago, we had 5 insurance companies. Today, there are more than 10 times that. So more than 50 insurance companies. I would just call out the third part, which is consumer engagement. See, the consumer involvement in the product is very high now. And that's proven true from 2 points, right? One is health insurance as a category is now bigger than motor insurance as a category. I think that's a huge evolution that has happened. And I think if you spoke about it 15 years ago, that would not have been thought about. Today, on the internet at least, the biggest searches are for health insurance, and the second highest searches are actually for term insurance, which is your pure life insurance. So I think that is another category that has grown in the last 15, 16 years, which did not exist, or was very, very small till about 15, 16 years ago, and has grown tremendously. And the huge amount of benefit that's brought to consumers in terms of sum assureds. And I think then again, if you look at the life insurance side, the product innovation, as Vibha ma'am said, I think 20, 23 years ago, was mostly par products. And today you have far more transparent products which allow the customer to really know what they are getting into and, be in it for the long term, and thus basically make it a sustainable savings habit. So I think overall the industry has transformed massively in favor of the consumer. The growth is there for us to see. I think about 4 to 5x is the growth of the industry, whether you look at it in terms of number of distributors, number of customers. The sum assured is more than 8x. So I think in many ways we have achieved a lot, and there's a long way to go.
You've made some very, very interesting points on that, Yashish. And I think the growth of the sector is something nobody can ignore or play down right now, because we've seen it playing out before our eyes. It affects every one of us as well. Before we really go into a short break, we'd also like to play a small fun round termed as Unfiltered with PB here with our guests. Essentially, I'll mention a point or a question. You'll just need to say the first thing that comes to your mind upon hearing that particular term or those questions. And I'm sure our audiences would love to hear what all of you have to say on that. So let me begin the first question. First of all, a financial advice that you wish your 18-year-old self knew. Vibha, if I can begin with you.
I wish I had dabbled a lot more in equity. I played it a bit safe. I did buy my first insurance product within a month of my first job.
Wow.
But I could have dabbled a lot more. Paradoxically, as a KMP over the past several decades, that's something that I find difficult to invest in given restrictions. So maybe I should have done a lot more of that when I was a lot younger.
Next, your role model when it comes to making money-related decisions. Tapan, what about you? Who's your role model?
Oh, I don't have a role model. I think my saving happens because of my wife. So it's as simple as that. Because I personally have always believed, and I keep on repeating that every rupee that I would have, I would actually spend on gaining experiences and seeing life and living life, and some part of what I feel can go wrong, I protect by insurance. But my wife is one who would always say, no, this is not the way to lead a life. You have to do savings, and she's the one who would actually do all my savings, what she can do. So you can call her my role model or the person who saves money for me. I think that is what it should be.
I think there'll be many married men out there who would agree with what you've said, Tapan. Yashish, what about you? One myth that you would like to debunk?
People believe you should invest to make a quick return. I think insurance is absolutely the opposite of that. And I would say people need to think about living long. People need to think about their children growing older and their children having very large costs as they come towards college, and planning for those in any eventuality. Should one of the partners not be alive, should one of the partners fall ill, etc., etc. And that is where child plans, pension plans become very critical for the consumer.
Here's an interesting question. Vibha, to you first. A lesser known fact about insurance that maybe will surprise or take people aback.
So people think that claims won't be paid, but claim settlement ratio for at least the senior companies is about 99%. So despite that, this is the kind of claim settlement ratio. So I think we need to leave aside negativity people have nothing to fear if they have made adequate disclosure at the time of taking their life insurance policies.
What about you, Tapan?
What we don't realize is that, let's say we pay premium and we don't have a claim, which is good because claim in insurance is not something that you look forward to. But that money is getting utilized for somebody else's benefit. So I think it's not only about looking at it from perspective that how much have I got from the premium I paid. That is to cover your risk. If things go wrong, the money of everybody else will come to help you out.
Yashish, what about you? A lesser known fact about insurance that will kind of surprise everyone.
I think insurance is a great product. It's the most misunderstood product in the sense people think of it as a cost, but it helps you a lot when there's a financial problem, death, disease, disability, pensions. There are so many things that insurance solves for the middle class that I think the middle class should spend a little more time trying to understand insurance.
This segment has been very fun and also very, very insightful. I'm sure a lot of our viewers have been taking notes from Vibha, Tapan and Yashish. It's time for us to slip into a very, very short break. We'll be right back to delve deeper into the realm of insurance with our esteemed guests. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for more valuable insights. Welcome back to the grand finale episode of the Policybazaar show. Let's now engage in also a conversation with Yashish first. Yashish, Policybazaar recently launched also an extensive report on India's insurance particularly and on our buying behavior, which indicated that offline channels are vital for insurance awareness and distribution even in today's online age. So as a company with both online and offline presence, do you think that this kind of a medium also improves the after-sales experience or the moment of truth essentially for the customer?
What's key here is the customer has multiple touch points. Online is one of them, offline is another one. And the customer is today massively offline, about 90% offline. And thus, of course, the number of agents that have grown from 500,000 odd to a few million. And now the number of POS that are there, which is about 1.5 million more, and the banks and people like us, all of us work together to expand the reach of insurance. And I am a full convert into the fact that it will, for a long time, I would say the next 20, 30 years, it would stay a combination of online and offline, because it's a complicated product. And I, at some level, believe, one cannot really sell a lot of these products without deeper understanding. So I think all of this is a symbiotic relationship. Offline helps the online, online helps the offline. I'll explain to you very simply. If we got a lot of visitors, but we did not have offline presence, we would convert much fewer. And that would waste the marketing money that has been spent to get the consumer online. At the same time, if we did not have the inbound visitors, the offline effort required to sell to people who were not willing to buy would be so high, it would be very wasteful. So I think online and offline together work as a beautiful combination to, on one side generate demand and on the second side fulfill demand.
And let me add another element to the mix. Tapan, if I can bring you in, the buzzword right now is AI. And I'm sure the insurance industry is also constantly reinventing itself in the age of AI to stay relevant, to also be innovative. How do you really see these kind of technological advancements impacting the insurance industry as well as its consumers?
Insurance is not like any other product category that you're looking at. So once you understand this fine nuance between insurance and the other category, then you understand that how insurance plays out. And that is where exactly when Ashish was mentioning about the online and offline. Now, the point which comes in terms of looking at AI or ML in insurance, it has to work in terms of the customer delivery and services. Now, if you look at as a consumer, you want to understand what product is good for you. Yesterday, you had people trying to explain to you, experts, tomorrow the machine would actually do that for you and come out with good, though certain experiments on that as of now is failing because you have hallucinations also happening. So the machine at times should pick up the exclusions and put that on. So not reach a stage where it can give to you a proper advisory, but Fast forward, maybe a couple of years' time, the machine would actually become very good in terms of putting that also in place.
Vibha, if I can bring you in as well, the IRDAI's vision to ensure insurance for all by 2047. It's inspiring, yes, but also one that many believe or many question whether it's possible. This report also highlighted and pointed out how there's a trust deficit, which perhaps is one of the biggest and key challenges in maximizing really insurance adoption. So how do you see the industry overcoming this challenge before we can actually become a 100% fully insured nation?
To your question, a simple answer is yes. I absolutely second our regulator's vision of 2047. In fact, we all collectively believe that it should happen sooner rather than wait till 2047. Now, in terms of the trust deficit, I would see this in a few different parts. One is that the expectation mismatch between how customers understand and buy products, as well as how insurers have designed these products. And with more awareness, and actually some level of that awareness needs to start at school or college level. It's almost critical. Financial literacy and insurance as part of that has to start fairly early. So insurance can solve for a lot of things, but one can't have unreasonable expectations. So a better understanding of the features of what an insurance product is meant to do. And if one wants liquidity, then maybe there are other products that will get you that kind of complete liquidity. So insurance is a added feature in your basket of goods rather than replacing and being a one-stop shop for everything.
You're right, Vibha, in highlighting that people understood the need for insurance perhaps during the pandemic. We're approaching the end of today's episode, but before we wrap up, let's also capture some memorable moments with our guests today here. We'd love to know from all of you, first to you, Vibha, about some questions that we have. First is about the best feedback ever received for your brand.
I think it has been when customers complain or other stakeholders complain that you are HDFC Life and we didn't expect this from you. So it's a little bit different from your question in terms of best feedback. It is a criticism, but what that means is that the brand and our company is being held at a very different level. And the expectation from us makes us realize that we need to continue to strive harder, because of the expectations from us are at a very different level. And that keeps us going.
What about you, Tapan? What's the best feedback that you remember that comes to mind for Bajaj?
So if you look at, I've been lucky to be the founding employee of this company. Now, when at the very beginning, we thought that the customer should know us as the best claim-paying company that they ever seen. And fast forward now 22 years since we built this company, and you ask anybody in the market about Bajaj Allianz, the first thing they'll say is it's a very good claim-paying company. If you look at a grievance ratio, it has been the lowest in the industry, among the lowest in the industry for, I think, from the time the regulator is publishing the data. And though we have customers, which is about 14 crores in numbers, about 140 million customers that we have. So I think our obsession that we shall be and we'll keep on striving to be the best claim insurance company in the world is what drives us. We have to reach the stage where it's a synonym that if you go to Bajaj Allianz, claims is not an issue. It gets paid immediately and very fast.
Okay, you're aiming higher. Yashish, what about PB Fintech?
One of the best feedbacks I've always received is, look, it was a very difficult process. The claim was very hard, or my policy was in a difficult position. And it took a month to resolve, but you guys did not leave my hand. And I think that's a very telling thing about our brand. We do not leave the consumer's hand. It takes us a long time. Insurance at times can be a difficult process. And at that time, the ability to, when processes sometimes do not work, the ability to handhold the customer through that duration and not give up, I think is quite good with our team. And I feel very proud about it.
That's amazing. One more question to all of you. Vibha, first to you. If you could share with us, a testimonial that came in from a customer, one that touched you deeply, essentially, that changed his or her or their family's life.
Many, but one that comes to mind is the one that makes me sleep well at night for that particular family. It was during COVID, wherein two grandparents, two parents and two grandkids. The grandfather passed away, both the parents passed away, and there were two grandkids. So people who were left with a grandmother and her two grandkids, school-going grandkids, had no term, to my dismay, had no term life insurance. This case had come to me on humanitarian grounds. Fortunately, some level of children's plan was there to pay for their school fees. And very, very fortunately, the grandfather, in his infinite wisdom and application of mind, had taken a joint annuity plan. So not only on his life, but also on his wife's life. That unit of, the grandmother, absolutely sarutha ke jio, wherein she did not have to go to a relative, seek help for bringing up her two grandkids, school-going grandkids, brings a lot of satisfaction, post the shivers down my spine. I think this is one such example.
So many countless stories that came in during the pandemic. Tapan, to you, one testimonial and anecdote that you'd like to share with us?
First, on the COVID part, since Vibha mentioned that, we were surprised to know that the general insurance industry paid about close to 40,000 crore of health claims. And across the world, insurance companies said that COVID was not part of cover. They were denying claims. And every industry went to the government asking for relief. You would not have heard insurance industry going to the government asking relief.
True.
Though this was close to 5 times the annual profit the industry made, the claims that they paid. So I think that is again interesting context to be put into. The industry serves the people without talking much about it. Now the anecdote that you say, why I'm a scientist by education. So actually I would not have been in the insurance industry, but I joined it way back as a challenge for some time. And why I stayed on was that there's a check lying on my table. And I said to my team, why it has not gone to the customers yet? And they said the office was closing. I said, no, it's on the way. I'll give it. No, I just picked the check and I left. And it was for the widow of a truck driver who had met an accident. So I went, found their home, and I gave the check to them. On the way home, I said, money has to be delivered. And that widow started crying. And to me, it was the first experience. I was very young then. I just joined the job, and I was like, just joined it for some time. I had no intention of staying in the industry. It's an amazing industry. I think we get paid to do good. We should just be passionate about what we do and do it really well. And that one incident made me stay in the industry for a long time, 32 years now.
I think that we can do a separate episode altogether on all of these experiences and anecdotes that you're giving us. Yashish, to you finally, a story or an incident that deeply...
I think as you hear these anecdotes, I think one thing is very clear. I think we as an industry do not do enough to talk about the great we do as an industry. Again, there are thousands and thousands of anecdotes, but one really stood out where there was this lady in somewhere in Haryana. And the husband had expired and they did not even know they had insurance. And then they got this update message to renew their insurance. And that's how they realized they had insurance. And they called us. They said, do we have insurance? And of course, they had one. And if I'm correct, I think it was an HDFC life plan. And the amount was paid out. And the family was like overjoyed. It was, I think, 60-70 lakh rupee coverage for a very middle class family from a tier 2, tier 3 town. And I think that does change how those children would grow up and how that family would live. And there are just thousands of such cases in the insurance industry, which are all about life-changing, generation-changing impacts.
All of these stories that you've told us, so touching, and there's no better way perhaps of educating the viewer about the need for insurance than perhaps telling them these kind of stories of how it's changed so many lives in the country. Thank you very much, Vibha, Tapan and Yashish, for joining us today. Absolute pleasure having you on the show. Hugely informative as well. But that's all we have time for on this season. Keep watching India Today TV.